Hello everybody. Do I need a religion? My short answer is no, but also a bit of yes as well. No, because I believe in respecting people's experiences. There are many paths up the same mountain to the spiritual summit, depending on where we start at the base. But yes, I do feel we benefit from the right sort of religion. Not the wrong sort, I might add. But that's the problem, isn't it? Discerning between the right and the wrong, the good and the bad. I think I need a religion because it offers a connection with my divine source, something really profound for me. It offers an inspiring guide, a moral compass, a powerful source of strength. Without a feeling of being united with this divine source of love behind all things, I have far fewer reasons to trust in life, in providence. Belief in providence means I can inwardly feel safe in the long run, because I'm in good hands. Despite the often confusing and unpredictable world I currently occupy. My own religion provides teachings that do help me understand myself and the world. Now, what would guide my conscience without sacred teaching? What would steer my choices towards inner happiness and away from inner harm? How would I begin to prepare for life after death, if not through a vision of eternal purpose rooted in spirituality? I believe religion connects me with that purpose. Now, take the idea of divine revelation. Yes, there are many parts of, say, the Christian Bible, for example, which don't make immediate sense. Specific verses, yes, they can be obscure and even misleading if taken the wrong way. And some passages speak of a God filled with anger. But I believe such depictions reveal more about me and us than about the divine. When we project our own fears and flaws onto our idea of God, we imagine judgment where there is, I say, only wise love. The 18th century theologian and philosopher Emanuel Swedenborg wrote that the inner meaning of sacred texts leads us to a deep understanding of God and of ourselves. Without that grounding, spirituality risks becoming vague or even self-deceiving. Nature itself, according to Swedenborg, reflects design. It reflects a divine creative design. So this universal plan ensures that all things are connected and work together as one. Every created thing, from a flower to a galaxy, is thus formed as part of an overall harmony. But you say, life also contains disharmony. It contains suffering. And here again, I would say my religious insight matters to me. Swedenborg teaches that suffering arises not from God's desire, but from our desires. The way we exercise freedom in the way we choose what we do. Now, the philosophy is that without the ability to choose wrongly, we couldn't choose rightly either. So, the risk is that choosing selfishly and without any concern for others can lead to suffering and disorder, which it does often. Our love cannot be compelled, and so we are allowed to be inwardly free, even when the results of our freedom hurt. Because that freedom is the only path, I would argue, the only path for us to take responsibility for what we do. Then real spiritual growth can last. What about human nature? That too is complex, and religion helps me see both a higher and a lower side to my makeup. Religion reminds me I have the power to choose between the higher and the lower side of myself. One side seeking what is good, what is true, what is loving and service to others. The other side wanting to get my own way, to dominate, to control, to crave comfort and pleasure, even at the expense of others. And what of death? I take comfort in Swedenborg's clear visions and religious teachings that we do survive. I'm sure our spirit, our inner self, lives on. Memory, personality, feeling, all preserved, not as ghosts or abstractions, but as fully conscious beings. I say the next life is a continuation, not a finish of this one. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, I don't need religion to be a good person. Well, yes, outward practices and prohibitions may vary across the world's faiths. Yet I would say the internal principle they all share is the intention to do good and avoid what is bad for the sake of the divine itself and for the sake of the well-being of others. And this intention remains the same at the core of all the main world faiths. Now, another argument goes as follows. Without a religious community, without shared discipline, without a tradition to draw from, do we risk walking in circles? I would suggest that not being part of a religious community can lead to a sense of inner isolation. But organised religion brings structure. Yes, it offers rituals, sacraments, and teachings. It provides social support as well as social accountability. And yes, it reminds us we're not each the centre of the universe. Disconnected spiritual pursuits may instead become more about self-reliance or vague spirituality, about inner confusion, even self-deception, and so diminishing what I see as the clear flow of life from God. Guidance for one's inner personal growth. Now, in a purely private form of spirituality, it's easier to define goodness by what suits me, or think of it in terms of what's fashionable in social attitudes of our day. Being accountable only to oneself can foster pride. I know best. Do I? But a faith rooted in divine revelation asks more of me. It asks that I examine myself in the light of taught virtues. Virtues like service, humility, and the Christian virtue of love of the enemy. Also, it can request us to persevere in our self-examination and turn our backs on what is harmful in what we're doing. So, we can strive then to become something better. Now, you're still wondering, do people need to become religious? No, I don't believe I possess all this virtue myself, of course, but I do believe it can be gifted to me. If I'm open, if I receive it, if I cooperate in trying to act well. So I look to the divine for help. I can't do it by myself. Religion teaches me to love what is good and to live as if I'm not alone in that struggle. I think many who reject religion are actually right to discard stale dogmas. They are understandably clearing out the bathwater, the dirty bathwater, I would say. But in so doing, are they also throwing out the baby? And that baby to me is precious. The beautiful living presence of innocence. Innocence that we find in love and wisdom. The secret presence within my limited soul. The voice that calls us all home. Thank you for listening to me.